It just makes me laugh every time.
Yes, me
It
too.
really
I
does.
cannot get over how good you can tinkle on those keys.
Yeah, you did a good job there. That's it. I think our intro is exactly that. It is meant to be slightly longer than the commercials that YouTube has. That's why we have an intro, actually. Secret sauce.
Yes.
Yeah, get an ad blocker or pay for YouTube like I do.
Yeah, or pay. Yeah, exactly.
But I do put the intro to avoid those commercials at the beginning because I know they get clipped off. I've seen it before. So welcome everybody. Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Good to be here.
Yes. So
Happy
real
Friday.
fast, Ray, you sent me an article this morning, and I had talked to Phil and Zach about this yesterday. The one topic we're not going to cover because we've covered 5 times already on this channel is EVs don't do well in the cold. So
Really, you don't want to do it for a 6th time?
Yeah,
everyone who's reading these articles about EVs having problems and freezing up, yeah, they don't do well in the cold. We know that.
I'm super glad I don't have one as of late because of it being 8 degrees here over the last week and a half.
It's been awful, and as I said, when I qualify people when they come to chat and ask about EVs, I'm like, my first question: where do you live? Because if you live up there.
Don't do it.
No, don't. Like I wouldn't. They're not ready yet. Stay with a hybrid, but they will eventually be there.
I must tell you, I took a poop ton of heat for mentioning Norway and how with 95% of their vehicles being EVs, how a Nordic country such as Norway doesn't seem to have the same type of issues when it comes to. And never having been to Norway, so I will admit that. And I must say I have no desire to go to Norway because it's too long of a flight. I assumed that it was basically because of they have better infrastructure. And I have been schooled. Well, it's because it's like the size of New Mexico and the people don't have to drive anywhere and all the drives are short and many of the people don't drive their EVs in the winter. They take their snowmobiles. Well, I don't know if any of that, all of that, some of that might be true. But
it's true, but it's also spin. I mean, you're telling me that Rhode Island, who doesn't have the same adoption, is really large. That's why they don't have the same adoption. I mean, come on. There's some spin there. Also, in Norway, 13% of the tows in the winter are from EVs, and the other 87% are ICE vehicles. So there's lots of stuff to spin and maneuver around there. It's just, but yes, they're a smaller country. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's, yeah. Almost every country is a smaller country, except for China and Russia. That's about it. But, all of Europe pretty much fits into the US. So, yeah, there are differences. That's the same reason why we don't have the same public transportation system that they do. It's a whole bunch of countries, teeny tiny little countries with good transportation system that cooperate with each other rather than one gigantic spread out country.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I don't know if their infrastructure is better or not. I don't know if it's because they're shorter commutes and things, but
it all plays into it.
Yeah, whatever it is, I think I said this yesterday. I can't imagine that everybody that owns a Tesla or any other EV in Chicago is planning on driving at 300 miles every day.
No, and I think there's a psyche involved, including in my own, that I know people want an EV with range longer than their ICE vehicle gets. And I think we've said this before.
They want it longer or just the same?
No, they want it longer. Look, there's this magic number in the American psyche of 500 miles. It just is what it is. But most Americans,
most ICE vehicles they don't
get that. But that is what the EV people, that's the number that's stuck in their head. 500 miles,
so weird.
500 mile range.
So odd.
Even though you commute about 20 miles. but I get it.
Maybe it's just about, wanting to have bragging rights. Hey, my EV can go 500.
Well, I know the companies want that, Lucid and stuff, but I've talked to a lot of EV owners, and that number is in their head. That is the number that's in everybody's head.
May I keep this simple?
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's a man issue, and man has always wanted it longer.
Well, I will tell you, mine gets 600 miles to the.
I'm gonna give you. Oh no, you can't see the fireworks.
Yeah, they're hidden in the
background on.
That's just my take. I could be wrong, but
all I'm saying, Ray, is the average Model 3 gets about 230 miles, and I get about 400-mile range in mine.
Well, there you have it. Yeah.
So
today.
you are. So the headline today is.
What? Sorry, go on.
No, go, Phil.
I was just going to agree with J Mac and be like, yeah, 250 miles. After that, I'm flying. That's about what, a 4-hour car ride. Anything longer than that, get on a plane.
So look, I'm one of those people who like the 500 miles just because I go, as everyone knows, I go to LA once a quarter, and I sure would like to do it without stopping. Even though I always stop in my ICE vehicle anyway. Mm-hmm. But still, it's the thought of being able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I get it. Plus, if you don't get the range and blah, blah, blah. Certainly in the cold. But
yeah.
So our headline today is what we're talking about, Hyundai, right? Hyundai saying everyone else, Ray, you and Zach talked, Ford is pulling people off of the F-150 and they're going elsewhere. They've
cut F-150 production from 3 production lines to 2 production lines, and they just announced that they're lowering it to 1 production line.
Yep.
Which tells you everything you need to know, especially when 2 years ago this month they anticipated that they would need to build 150,000 Lightnings for 2024. And, they still could. They would just have to store probably about 130,000 of them until there was actually a demand for the product.
And then the batteries will go bad because they'll just be sitting and degrading over time.
Yeah.
Well,
I said that just to get a rise out of you, Justin.
Well,
okay.
We'll talk about that, whether that's real or not. But look, I think one thing we all agree on, or that I have said this whole time, it's stupid to go after the truck market with the current technology of batteries. Like that's not, the Lightning is for the non-truck or for the truck owner that doesn't use it as a truck.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's 90% of truck owners.
No, I know. But it's the prestige truck owner, not the real one. Of course, they can't produce a ton of them. People who use their truck for work, the electric isn't there yet. We know it's not there yet. You can't have 300-mile range get cut down when you're in half when you're towing, and then add some cold to that, and then you're out in the middle of a farm. Where are you going to charge up on that? Yeah, right. So it doesn't make sense as a work truck. So F-150 doesn't surprise me at all.
But if I may, isn't the Cybertruck the same thing?
Well, yeah, but we never expected the Cybertruck to be a work truck.
Okay,
it was always a prestige truck.
Okay,
right. I mean, that's what we look. I'm one who said I've never owned a truck. I like the Cybertruck. I'd like to own the Cybertruck, not on its current specs and price, obviously. But, if it had come out with the specs and price that they originally announced, I would have liked one. But was I going to use it as a truck? No. As a matter of fact, I was going to order a bumper sticker that said, "No, I will not help you move." That was that would be my, there's no way I was going to use it as a truck. I'd just be another jerk in a truck who didn't want to use it as a truck, and I knew that, and I was okay. But that's what the Cybertruck is. It wasn't. It's a prestige truck. It's not a work truck.
Yeah,
especially
it's
at
for
the
show. It's for
current,
show.
especially at the current levels. Like they, if it came out and they had a 500+ mile range and it was $40,000, then maybe we'd be talking a different story. But what they came out with is a show truck, which is fine. That's, I mean, it's a legitimate market. That's fine. It's not for me. Neither is a work truck, but $40,000 for me. But Hyundai's going, everyone else is cutting back, and Hyundai's like, nope, we want to move forward, and they're doing really well really well in their sales. I don't remember where it was. So Tesla is 55% of the market. The next closest competitor is Ford with 6.1% of the market.
Okay, and where's Hyundai come in?
Hyundai's fourth. Hyundai's fourth.
Okay.
Chevy is a 5.3, and then they don't even 4.8. Hyundai comes in at 4.8, but they want to take over Ford. It just seems what an insurmountable object to take on Tesla. But certainly someone has to do it. I think they're
right.
Like even those of us who are, I'll use Ray's term, Tesla fanboys. 55%. It's too much for one company. You just can't have that. I want it more spread out. I think, if Tesla had 20% of the market, I'd be okay with that. And then, spread it out, let competition in here. And there's nobody stopping competition. Don't get me wrong. Just these manufacturers have to make better cars. The Lightning ain't it.
Well, no, it isn't.
So they have to make better, cheaper cars. Cheaper cars is, I think, one of the big ones, right? I think this article, the president of Hyundai has said just that. You're not going to get adoption at $130,000 car.
Like nowhere close to that. Nowhere.
Well, you are from your early adopters, and now if you want to appeal to the mass of car buyers out there, you have to come in at more reasonable price points, and I think that's what everybody's finding out. You can't treat every new EV as if it's the miracle cure for cancer. Okay, yeah. It's at a certain point, it's just another freaking EV. Okay, it's nothing. It's just an EV, and so they can't all be prestige vehicles. They're just some of them just have to be vehicles.
Yeah, and everyone wants to start the way Tesla did with the super high priced vehicles, and then work your way. But unfortunately, Tesla already exists, and you're not going into that sort of vacuum field where that could have happened. And I mean, and maybe you can, but Tesla took 20 years to get to where they are now.
Yeah.
So, if you're thinking you're going to make it there by 2030, you're not. You're not going to start with these $130,000 cars.
I was just going to mention that 2030 is out the door. Yeah. We're not even close to any of what those projections were.
No. And, I think even back in the days when we were plugged in rather than unplugged with Justin, we certainly had some questions about whether those timeframes would actually ever be hit. I don't think any of us ever believed. I mean, there were goals, but they're not there. But I know Hyundai's talking, they think the magic number is 40,000, under $40,000.
I would agree with that.
I think under 30 would be fantastic.
I think one vehicle, Ray, probably in that price range.
Well, and the only reason I say it is because we know that less than 10% of all the new vehicles that are offered for sale in this country have an MSRP below $30,000. And that number, which is that price point, which is not necessarily appealing to the manufacturer, is appealing to a large percentage of the population. And rather than, as most manufacturers have done, rather than write those people off, it would be kind of like a great idea to figure out how to bring them all back on board. So if you could get several EVs that would work, that were MSRP mid-20s to upper 20s, that I think could be a turning point for EVs.
It would.
And I think that's, as we're seeing adoption slow in America, make sure we're clear on that. It's not regressing. It's still growing. It's just slowing the growth. But as adoption slows, I think it's getting
flat.
A big portion of this is, it's not flat. It's still growing. But a big portion of it is it's slowing because there's less and less people who can afford these level of vehicles. Look, my buddy who, started driving or riding around with me, and I never push EVs to anybody, but everyone who rides around and goes on road trips with me in my Tesla all of a sudden is like, oh, maybe I should get an EV. And we're all here in California. So, okay, yeah. So he's looking at it, and the one he likes the most is the same one everyone likes the most that I run into, the EV6. But it's too expensive. He just can't afford that. That's when we went and looked at the Bolt EUV, which was way, way nicer than I knew. Test drove it, and I'm like, okay, that's actually a nice little EV. It was very surprising to me. But even that's $37,000. So it's just, it's still cheaper than the EV6, but I test drove the EV9. I was like, oh, that looks really nice. And I just paid off my car on Monday. So I'm like, oh, I could trade in my car and get an EV, but I'm not going to do that.
Is there a way to electrify the tracks?
I'm sure there's a way. Is there a way to do it cheaply?
Well, where it would still
make sense. Look, until we get prices there, I think that's going to be the holdup.
Because I take a lot of flack for mentioning the tracks all the time as well, because it's a 3-cylinder piece of crap. It's this or that. Whatever. It's a $20,000.
Yeah,
so it is. It's the Yugo of today's world. What do you want me to tell you?
It's an affordable vehicle. There's nothing wrong with that. I hear all that all the time. But there's always the Chevy people who hate Ford, the Ford people who hate Chevy, and all that. all that junk that goes into there. But there's nothing wrong with a $20,000 cheap vehicle.
Builds the tracks for Chevy? It's from South Korea. Is it Hyundai Kia, or is it?
I don't know.
That's a great question. Let's all look.
I know.
Well, I'll keep
who can Google the answer first.
I would just be curious, because we know it's built in South Korea.
Yeah.
I don't know how many South Korean automobile manufacturers there are. It says it's built
at the GM plant in South Korea. So I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so GM has their own plant in South Korea, and so it's not a joint venture with anybody.
Yeah, on my very quick Chevrolet.com search, that's what it says.
But obviously Chevrolet is proving that they can build stuff in South Korea that apparently they don't feel as if they can build the same stuff here in North America at this price point.
Kind of everyone except for Tesla says that, right? Yeah. They're all sort of, we got to be outside of the US.
So, you would just, is there a way for them to build it as an electric vehicle in South Korea but then it might not qualify for federal tax subsidies.
Yeah, almost none of them do right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to lease it, or they're giving the 7,500 in rebate, but maybe they're like Ford and they're going to up the price by $9,000 to give you $7,500 in rebate.
Yeah, well,
So,
that could be another reason why they
Yeah.
cut Lightning's back to one production.
Yeah, I mean, there's basically it's Hyundai's. I think they hit it right on the head. Is that they need the affordable sub 40,000. I know Ray, you're saying sub
Yeah.
30, but I think let's stair step it. Let's go to a bunch of sub $40,000 EVs, please. Like, let's start there, and then
That's where
when
I
those
think that's
become
where-
used, I think
Yes.
is it because we're missing the used market right now too.
But isn't it amazing how every time somebody announces a new EV, every time a new EV is announced, it is announced as it is going to retail in the mid to upper 30s when it's announced.
Mhm.
Okay. And then when it's built, it's $60,000. Why is that?
Yeah, because it's like even with the Cybertruck, I noticed that increase is more than the inflation increase over the same amount of time.
Yes.
So you can account for some of it with inflation, but then that's only like covering like half of what that increase ended up being. And you're kind of like, well, I understand some of it, but I think you're going a little too far on it. And yeah, I mean, I think yeah, they're doing that. A lot of manufacturers are doing that. They've all raised their MSRP right before the upfront tax credit that no one can seem to get.
Yes, well,
Because I hear this all day long too, is people coming in, well, the dealer said I get it back on my taxes because their system isn't working with the new IRS system, and they can't offer the discount up front. And like, well, okay.
well,
I hear that from almost everybody now.
I don't know why we would have ever thought that
No.
that
No.
the system would
like that would have gone perfectly.
Yeah.
would have worked.
Without a hitch.
Yeah.
Without oh well, we thought it was going to work, but it's not quite working with this one system, so
And
let's
wasn't
delay
it-
another couple months.
Wasn't it something like only 4,000 dealers signed up for it? Something like that. A very out of 18,000 new franchise dealers, the number was either 4,000 or 7,000, whatever it was. It was well less than 50% of all dealers out there even signed up for it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, we had one dealer that told our member that they could do the rebate up front, and then they would also save on their taxes.
But you can't do both.
I was like, no. Hold on.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of misinformation, whether that dealer said that intentionally to lie and get the sale, or whether that salesperson just didn't know. I don't know. Like, I'm a benefit of the doubt kind of guy, but it was certainly something to let them know, like, no, you can't get both. You're not getting $15,000 off of this vehicle. That 75 is either upfront or on your taxes. If it's on your taxes, by the way, you better owe that much, because otherwise you're not getting it. It's not refundable.
It's and it wouldn't surprise me if a salesperson wouldn't know.
No. I know.
Yeah.
I know how they're not trained.
Yes.
Because I was also not trained.
Yes.
So
most
yeah. And then a lot of people now, like even this article in Automotive News from Hyundai is talking about, well, the Ioniq 5 and 6 are below $43,000 with a $7,500 rebate. Like, well, let's not figure that into it. Let's get the price down.
Yeah, but may I say that they learned that from Tesla, because Tesla does that. That's how they advertise their vehicles. It's X assuming that you qualified for the rebate.
There's a button you can click on there, Ray, and I do hate that it defaults to the saving. I agree with that.
Yes,
but you can click to actual value on their website. I mean,
wouldn't it be great if actual came up first and you could then hit a button that says, if you qualify for the rebate, this is what the net will be.
100%, Ray.
Ray, it's worse than that because Tesla doesn't just include the rebate; they include oil change and maintenance savings and gas savings and all this. And I'm like, just shut the hell up! Like that's not a real price. Come on, Tesla. Like, so I always just got to click over on the real button, instead of the imaginary price button.
The beauty of it is, well, you're not having to deal with the scum at the dealerships, because the dealership's just going to play games on you. Much like Tesla just did on their website when you include the rebate and the savings and the this and the that, and it's.
But I mean, in Tesla's defense, again, I will say the button is 1 centimeter to the left, so you can just click over on that.
It don't matter, Justice.
Yeah,
it should just come up on the right.
No, button. I agree. It should not come up on the savings, or it should be side by side. I would love to see them just instead of clicking the tabs, just have them side by side. Here's the price. Here's the price after available, possible savings. Like I agree. I don't like the button thing either, but mainly because Phil, you and I know more than probably the general public. Nobody reads. Nobody reads all the little stuff. Nobody clicks on the buttons.
No one reads.
They just they don't understand that that's not the real price.
There's a shiny squirrel on the screen somewhere else. That it goes there.
It's no different. It's no different than when a regular dealership advertises a price based on incentives that you don't qualify for.
Yep. And nobody reads that part of it. They may disclose. They could have that right below the price, and nobody's reading that because we all know how that works, and and that's partially consumer fault. But in all things being equal, I would rather Tesla just say, here's the price of it by default.
Yes.
And then, here's the price of it after possible savings.
Yeah, that would be fine.
I would prefer that too.
Yeah.
I like Tesla. And I like the way
that's called transparency.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we all wish that every dealership will just be transparent and ethical, and they're showing what their prices are and all that.
If you want the dealership to be that way, and then you want the manufacturer to be that way when it's direct to consumer selling. No different.
Look, I love the Tesla model. I do. I am very anti everyone going to that model and the OEMs selling all direct, because then there's no more competition. There's no haggling. You'll never get, below invoice ever again, because
there's no such thing at that point.
Yeah, but everything's full MSRP all the time. Look, Tesla sells direct. They're not cheaper than, they do have some models that are cheaper, but they're not cheaper than like Kia on their EVs. Model 3 being exception, but I'm not seeing a bunch of enormous discounts because they're selling direct. I'm seeing they're just taking the price that they want to sell it for.
Yes, what they think is going to move the market.
Yeah. Well, and again, that with 55%, anything they say does move the market.
That's true.
Which is also what we don't like. I pro Tesla, so even though I keep talking bad about them, but I don't want them to have that much control over the market. They shouldn't dictate the entire EV.
It's kind of like when they broke up Ma Bell.
Yeah,
we're better off with competition than not.
Yeah, and not. Again, now Ma Bell had a clear monopoly. Yeah, they had a clear monopoly. Tesla doesn't have monopoly. They're making cars that people want to sell and nobody or want to buy.
Yes,
and nobody else is. So that's. that's not really a monopoly. That's just the free market actually working like it should.
Was intended to.
Yeah. So good for Tesla on that part of it. I just want more people like Kia, Hyundai, which I find so weird to come out of my mouth all the time because I'm not real big on their ICE vehicles,
Yes.
but I sure do like their EVs. They got some really great EVs that are really nice. I love the EV9. It's way too expensive, but I do love it's a really nice EV.
And the problem with their ICE vehicles has been in the past with their engines. And I don't know, when it's an electric vehicle,
Yep.
You don't really have engine issues.
Yeah, that's what I always say when when I'm taking people out and they say they want to look at EVs, and I always say first, before you decide that you want my car because you're riding in my car,
Yes.
look at all your options that are out there. And then they always, okay, let's go look. So, I take them around, and, when we get to Kia, they kind of give me a look, and I'm like, look, hold on. I don't like Kia just like you, but trust me, their EVs are different. Like the one problem Kias have,
engines catching on fire.
Engine fires.
But now that's just going to transition to batteries catching on fire.
But we know the batteries don't catch on fire like that.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
oh my gosh,
when they do. Yeah. So Igor doesn't like the EV6.
Just don't buy it.
I know lots of people who like the EV6.
The EV6, I believe they cornered the market on LEDs. I've never seen so many little LED lights built into a car in my life.
I don't know. The Ioniq 5 is pretty close.
Yeah.
But yes. But Hyundai Kia love the little square.
Yes.
The LEDs. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. I agree with Stuart here. The EV5 and EV3 both look good, assuming that the price comes out. Yeah. And that's what we're hoping. And I don't see anyone other than Kia really going for that market. Rivian's not dropping their prices. Lucid has no reason. Their CEO just gets paid millions to lose money. So who cares? They're not going to lower.
Why would he care, right? Why make it better? Why change anything if this path continues like that, right? It's like,
yeah. But Hyundai Kia is the only one I see coming out saying, like, we like what we're doing, we like where our sales are, and we think we can do better. We think we can lower prices, and we can come out with even more affordable EVs. And I think that's the real roadblock to EV adoption, which I personally could not care less whether people adopt or not, because I just want people to buy cars they like.
Yes.
I like EVs. I like EVs, so that's why I bought it. But if the goal is for adoption and transition, then we got this $60,000 price point, which is the average right now, it's not gonna work. Or it's
what do you think about this?
57.
Yeah, let's talk about this Evolve Plus program for Hyundai.
Yes.
Did you read that?
Yes, I like that. I like it for 1,000 miles, right?
What is it?
1,000 miles. You can drive the vehicle up to 1,000 miles per month.
Yeah.
So it's like getting into 12,000 mile per year lease, and paying a month to month. Now I'm curious to know how they're going to figure the payment on that. And is it all inclusive, like including insurance? Because we know other automakers have done, like a subscription, right? That's what I'm feeling. That's what this is.
And that would be great if it were. When Volvo had their subscription service for a relatively short period of time, it was a great program. I mean, it included maintenance, it included insurance, it included your ability to be done with it after 3 months, it included your ability to switch cars.
Yes,
and it was like $750 all in a month.
Yep. I would sign up for that. Cadillac tried that out, but unfortunately it didn't fly.
Wow. Yeah, I thought that was going to be a big winner.
Me too. I thought that was going to stay around longer and be bigger than
Yes.
it was. But yeah, the Evolve Plus is a month-to-month leasing program, allows customers in 14 states to drive Hyundai vehicles up to 1,000 miles over a month. And then they also do the home branding partnership that helps customers in 47 states with home charging installation and incentives to go along with it. So they're one of the few that are helping you pay for installation of charging at home and giving you the equipment or credit for it to do that, which I also think is great. Like Tesla doesn't do that.
I wonder if they have a 300-mile a month lease program for a guy like me.
Yeah, someone who's going to charge.
Well, they do, Ray. You have up to 1,000. So if you're at 300, that's just it. It doesn't matter.
Okay, well then I'll drive more apparently.
But,
yeah, use it, right?
and I wonder if New Jersey is one of the 14 states.
Yeah, they don't list what the 14 states are. I can tell you what 3 of them almost guaranteed are.
Well, one would be California for sure.
Yeah. And then Texas and Florida, right?
Okay, typically,
Yeah, I mean, those are the 1, 2, and 3 most adopted EV states. So that makes the most sense. I don't know what the other 14 are. They haven't mentioned it. But I do like also that for those who matters, that the Hyundais are bi-directional charging.
I looked it up. I did a thing. I looked
what are the states?
Do you want to know?
Yeah.
Alabama, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Georgia, Massachusetts, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Oregon, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and Washington.
So I could
Yes.
do that here.
You could.
Yes. And then, but I'd want them to come pick it up and charge it and drop it back off.
That's right. We looked up chargers in your area, right? You don't have very many.
That is correct.
So it does, and it includes maintenance, insurance, and roadside.
Wow.
Although they don't really say what the payment is.
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends on what model, but that sounds suspiciously like Volvo's subscription service.
Oh, right. Yeah. They do have that.
Yeah, it does. But it's like for Hyundai's purpose of, you can't just take it on a test drive. You got to live with it for a little bit. I totally agree with that. Like to get used to an EV, to figure out if it's going to fit your life, you really do have to live with it for a little bit. So if that's a month for whatever that charge is, because it includes everything, just to see if it's going to fit you. But again, that's for the rich people, right? That's not for the sub $30,000 borrower.
You're right.
They can't afford that. So I mean, while I like that program does not solve the affordability issue.
No, this is completely convenience. This is just,
Well, this is for people who have the means and would like to know if it fits their lifestyle.
Yes.
Like people are thinking, they hear about all the horror stories, but they think maybe it might work for them. That's a great program to, get them in there and try it out and, hopefully for a reasonable price.
Yep.
And then they can decide, okay, I want to do this, or they can go, nope, that does not work for me. And it's January, it's 8 degrees outside, and this thing ain't going to work for me.
And it didn't take a super long commitment to figure that out.
Yeah.
No, that's a great idea. That is really a terrific idea. It is like Hertzifying Hyundai in that we will allow you to do like up to a 3-month rental if you want.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yes. Now here's what I just read. There is no guarantee that we will have a vehicle available for you. So if you want to do that program, you might have to be put on a wait list. So you may not even get a car.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's helpful. That's helpful.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's great. That's like that is a lot like Hertz then, right?
Yeah.
You can reserve the electric vehicle, but it may not be there.
Yeah, we're good at making reservations. We're just not good at holding reservations.
Yeah.
Correct.
Anybody can take the reservation.
That's
so it's a rental service. I mean, let's call it what it is.
It is. But I mean, yeah, it's a month-to-month rental service.
Yeah,
hopefully cheaper than renting the car.
Maybe they should do it out of Home Depot.
Yeah.
I have said the first one that partners with Costco is the EV OEM that wins.
There you go.
Like imagine that, Hyundai partners with Costco and you just go to Costco and they have one of each model for you to test drive and you order through them and that's that and then you just have, one of each model at each Costco center to test drive. When Tesla's already figured out the test drive with no salespeople.
Yeah.
But they already have the buildings where you just go in there and you unlock it with the app and you drive and it's locked down. You can only go so far and you come back and you never have to speak to a human being. Costco could do the same thing with somebody. I always felt like that was a partnership that's just out there lingering because then everyone has access and you can go out there and drive and see it. Yeah. Phil, Tom thinks you have a very nice living room.
Tom, thank you.
Yeah.
I even play that thing right there from time to time.
Yes, at the beginning of every show.
Yeah. At the beginning of every show. Tom, I thank you, but not my living room. It's just a fake backdrop.
And yes, Phil did talk about the experience last week. Yeah. And how wonderful it is.
And by the way, this
fantastic.
Is my living room. Just between the three of us. This really is my living room. Yeah.
Yeah, this is not my office. Just that's why we're at it.
Okay. Well, we appreciate the honesty.
I think you can tell because of all this artifacts right here. This is not my office.
Yeah, it's kind of I see it. Oh, I'm missing part of an arm. See?
Yeah. But apparently it's not the part you need, so don't worry about it.
Correct.
Yes, Ray Stewart says you also have a nice living room.
Well, thank you very much.
Yours is real, so
I mean, I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Yeah, you showed me the pictures of the rest of your condo, and the whole thing is beautiful. It's really very nice.
I am very pleased with my condo. It fits my needs and my lifestyle perfectly. For wanting to be at the Jersey Shore, it
looks like a little boutique hotel too.
It does, and it's a 1-bedroom condo, but it's 900 square feet, which is a pretty nice size.
Yeah, that's really big.
For one bed,
yeah, 1.5 bathrooms. I mean, it's I kind of like it. Yeah, I just wish it was summer again already.
Yeah,
I could take my afternoon naps out in the balcony and work on just getting some tan on the front portion of my body and never on my back.
Look, we're all suffering. It's only 50 degrees here, Ray. Too.
Yeah, well, it's snowing like crazy out here. I can tell you that.
I think you can see on my shoulder here how.
Yeah.
So I'm having to deal with the pouring sunshine, just never-ending pouring down sun.
Well, you know what time it is for me.
It is time for you to go to lunch, and it's time for Phil and I to get to our meetings and.
Yes.
Yeah.
The stuff that we do every day.
Here's the obvious question. We all know what's coming, Ray.
What's for lunch? Well, it is a half of a tuna and cheese sub from Dino's Sub Shop in Margate. I ordered it early, so it's here. And
you're sending me the other half? That is very nice of you, Ray. I appreciate
that. Thankfully they sell it in halves.
You won't want
one did not have to order a whole. You can just order a half. Yeah. So.
All right. Well,
I would
enjoy your lunch.
Okay.
Is there a show on CarEdge tomorrow? right?
There is not.
No.
My understanding is that my son will not be available tomorrow evening. So there is no Saturday night CarEdge show on the CarEdge channel. Ray and Zach will be back Monday on the Ray and Zach channel, and us guys will be back next Friday on this channel.
Right. And education team is considering doing a takeover of your CarEdge channel again next month, probably.
You just let us know.
So if you want to tune in to see me and Debbie and Ashley and Mario,
yeah,
let us all know. Yeah.
Okay, I'm in on that. Yeah.
All right. Good show.
Yeah.
Yep. Always fun to have those.
Thank you, everybody, for being here today.
Thank you.